Welcome to the 2022 General Election Candidate videos, made possible by a partnership between Collin County Votes, which is an initiative of the Collin County Business Alliance, and the Allen, Frisco, McKinney, and Plano Chambers of Commerce.
I'm Leanne Libby, General Manager of Community Impact Newspaper in Plano, and I'm excited to introduce our viewers to Mihaela Plesa. She's running for House District 70. Welcome, Mihaela.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And thank you guys for continuing all this hard work. It's really important to get our voters out in the midterm elections.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Well, we'll jump right in. So we'll start with the first question. In your own words, what is the role of a state legislator?
This is a really good question. I think that a lot of people don't know what their state reps do. For the last 5 years, I've been working in Austin with state representatives doing their legislation. And their roles are comprised of a lot of different things from constituent services, which basically means anything that your constituents have an issue with. I didn't get my unemployment insurance. I'm having access getting affordable childcare in my area. My cable is off and I don't know who to call. These are some of the constituent issues that we deal with. But the more important things that we deal with 140 days every 2 years is our legislative sessions. And that's where we go in and we form and craft legislation that affects all of Texas, not just our own constituents. And that legislation is crafted through relationships, negotiations with community organizers, our municipalities, our local entities, and then big organizations. And they come in and, they create these bills, and then state reps try to pass that bill. And they don't just do it on the House floor, then they have to move that legislation over to the Senate and get it passed on the Senate. And in 140 days, they got to get the governor to sign their bill. So that's kind of the role of a state rep. And it's a very, very, very important role, not just for the 184,000 people that are in HD 70, but for the millions of Texans all over the state. So that's what a state rep does.
Great. So if you were elected, what would be your top 2 to 3 legislative priorities?
So I believe that fixing the grid has to be our number one priority. We did not do a good job of making sure that our grid is weatherized for extreme weather. And if we don't keep the lights on, then we're going to have a really hard time educating our kids and keeping our businesses open. So my second top priority would be fully funding our schools. We really, really need to branch the divide between education and workforce. And we have to have a smooth pipeline from education into the workforce. And my third is we're still in the COVID. We're still dealing with the new variants. So we need to have a healthcare system that supports the people of this district. We're like the ninth largest economy in the world, and we really should make sure that the people of Texas have access to healthcare, whether that's Medicaid expansion or through their employer, actually.
So Collin County is one of the fastest growing counties in the country. What are your thoughts on the growth to date, and what would your priorities be going forward?
I think it's amazing. I've been looking at some of the research, and it shows that Collin County is growing at 2 times the speed of Dallas. And there's a reason why people are coming here, right? We have really great opportunities for businesses. We have some of the largest small businesses per capita in our state. We have a wonderful public education system that people obviously gravitate to. So the thing is that even though we have a bunch of people coming to Collin County, they're not bringing their roads with them when they come here, right? So we really need to have an honest conversation about transportation, especially around House District 70. There's around 3 toll roads that surround this district. That's a tax on our populations going and coming from work. So we really need to put some of that money that we're going to see coming in from the federal government into our infrastructure. That's got to be the first number one priority. Second is we've been seeing a lot of small businesses, going through the hardships of the COVID pandemic. We've been seeing a recession in employment. Well, with that comes loss of employer sponsored health insurance. So we really need to have an honest conversation about, you know, health insurance in our state. And it can't just be, oh, we're going to expand Medicaid. It has to be, benefits that our insurance are providing us. So those would be like the top two, I think. But then obviously, you know, we have to do something with our public schools. Plano ISD is giving millions and millions of dollars back in recapture. I think I read a study somewhere in the billions since 1993. Okay, 1993 is when I was going through Plano ISD schools, right? So we have to do something. As the economy gets better, the state has to do its job to meet the demand and fully fund our public schools. That's going to bring the pressure off of our taxpayers.
Great. So you mentioned one of the next question is about transportation, which you addressed a little bit, but what do you see as kind of the biggest transportation issue facing Collin County, and how would you address it?
Yeah, so like I said, we're just seeing such an influx of people gravitating to North Texas for obvious reasons, right? And like I said, they're not bringing their roads with them. We are, because of the way that our transportation funding is set up, we are not meeting the demands for TxDOT. There's a lot of different ways that I've actually worked on this issue in the state house. They're not all popular. You know, there is conversation around putting a gas tax. We haven't increased our gas tax in 20 something years, right? That means that the cost of building a mile of road is going up, but the money that we're putting into that is staying the same. That's not sustainable. We also have to look at private partnerships. There's been a lot of success around that in other parts of the state. And we shouldn't really accept the toll road situation that we have up here in North Texas. I've worked for representatives in the southern part of the state, and there are no toll roads around there. So we can't just continue to rely on our local municipalities to continue passing bonds and funding it in these ways. This isn't fair for us and for our taxpayers. The state needs to take more responsibility.
Absolutely. So next is the business community. So quickly, if you could tell us, what do you think the top needs are for the business community, and what would you do to help meet those needs and ensure community and economic growth?
Absolutely. So honestly, I do believe that all work starts in the classroom. You have to have a prepared and educated person before they can go and be a good employee. And so one thing that I would like to see is increasing money to go not just to our elementary and post-secondary schools, but like our community colleges and the universities that we have going around. Collin College has done an amazing job of continuing their the access to their building and all that through COVID. They've done a great job with the alumni to recruit people to continue their education, even though a lot of schools have seen a recession and people going to school. So I think that's really important because our employers are relying on that really strong workforce to be ready to jump in and get to work on day one and be prepared. So I really believe that we have to have a strong, you know, pipeline to our jobs. I also believe that the state needs to do a better job at incentives. We do a lot with incentives bringing big businesses to our state. We're not doing as well of a job as incentivizing our small businesses. So I would like to do more around bringing capital into my community for small businesses, especially minority and women owned businesses. We tend to have a little bit of a harder time starting up our businesses. So I would love to bring some capital there and allow small businesses to build their enterprises and to be big businesses.
Great. Well, so we have time for two more questions before we run out of time. So the next one
Awesome.
is the business community and many of the organizations representing it have prioritized equity and diversity through hiring practices, programs, and their community investments. So because Collin County is such a diverse area in every sense of the word, can you talk about what equity and diversity mean to you?
Absolutely. So I am first generation. My parents immigrated here from Eastern Europe. So I completely understand the need for inclusion within our community. But I am so excited to see the diversity and the boom, especially in the Asian community, coming into to HD 70. I think it's great. But you do see with that, you do have dispersions around income, right? And there is a wealth gap. I honestly believe education is the bridge to all wealth gaps. We see a correlation between graduation rates and, going on and, what your median income is going to be, right? So we need to include those communities in the conversation as far as how we branch that divide, whether that's through education, whether that's through um, just career training, just in general technical career training. We're seeing an influx of need for engineer jobs. Those necessarily don't have to be a degree. That could be a certificate of some sort. So I would like to expand the conversation around that. But we're also seeing a problem around minorities and seniors and they're being able to afford housing. So that is a conversation that needs to really be on the forefront because, what are we going to do? Our community is getting older as well. And can these people afford to be in their homes? So those are kind of some of the conversations I would like to start and some of the policy priorities that I would like to file if elected.
Great. Well, so last question. If you were talking to someone from outside of Collin County who is maybe considering moving here or moving their business here, what would be your 30-second elevator pitch about Collin County?
Oh, do it. I would do it. Look, I have grown up, lived in and around Collin County my entire life, and I would not want to call any other place home. You have the small town feel, but yet you can eat any type of food you want to eat any night. You can go and enjoy any kind of cultural experience any night that you want. I definitely recommend it. We have strong schools, we have strong employers, and we're doing the right thing. Collin County is one of the largest, I believe it is the largest vaccinated county in Texas. We are expanding access to healthcare. We are making sure that our people are taken care of. And so definitely move to Collin County. We are waiting for you with open arms.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Plesa, for giving us your time today and sharing your thoughts with the voters on important issues.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for doing this. Like I said, the midterm elections are one of the most important elections that we have in our state. So it's really important that everybody gets educated on who the candidates are and get out voting on March 1st.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.